Hello, everyone, and welcome back into the MMA War Room alongside Shrikar Rajendran. I'm Chris Schroyer. Sam will be sending his picks on Friday. He is not able to join us. We are recording this very late at night on Wednesday. I guess it'd be Thursday morning right now. It is 1:47 Eastern time, 12:47 Central time for our good friend Shrikar. And yeah, we got I would consider it a pretty fun card coming up at UFC Seattle on Saturday. Seems like Seattle is becoming a recurring place that the UFC wants to go to, which is cool. They have a decent amount of Seattle-based, Washington-based fighters in the UFC currently. The last time they went there, it was a Song Yadong, Henry Cejudo main event. Sadly, it was anticlimactic. Song Yadong unfortunately poked Henry Cejudo in the eyes. Cejudo was not able to continue. So we're hoping that doesn't happen with this main event. Joe Pyfer, up and coming middleweight, taking on I would consider one of the biggest stars in the UFC, maybe even in UFC history, Israel, the last style bender, Adesanya. I think that's a pretty good main event. I think it's a good test for Izzy to see if he can fend off some fresh blood in the middleweight division, especially a very powerful upriser like Joe Pyfer. And it's a good test to see where Joe Pyfer is at in his MMA career, fighting someone as experienced as Adesanya. Co-main event will be Maycee Barber versus Alexa Grasso. No objections there. I think that's a pretty solid co-main event. We got some other fun fights on the card, a few debuts that we're looking forward to. But Shrikar, looking up and down from the first fight, I guess it would just be the prelims, but from the prelims to the top at the main event, what do you think of it? Do you have any objections, or do you like how the card is kind of scheduled here?
No, I think this is a solid fight night. I think this is a really solid card. Definitely excited for that main event. Israel Adesanya, Joe Pyfer. It's going to be an awesome fight. Definitely going to be a sick fight. So I'm excited for that. Grasso and Barber is a rematch. Two top 5 contenders in flyweight. Can't really complain about it being a co-main event. My only problem with this card, and I get it, it's his retirement fight, but Michael Chiesa as the featured bout against Nico Price is just kind of sticking out like a sore thumb right now on that main card. So I think there are some prelim fights that I definitely would have liked to take its spot, especially when you look at that featured prelim between Ignacio Bahamondes and Tofik Musayev. I think that is a much better fight than Chiesa and Price. And even looking down the card, Marcin Tybura versus a debuting Tyrell Fortune, I think is already a better fight than Chiesa and Price. Yeah. Say what you want about Tybura and say what you want about heavyweight, but it is a ranked heavyweight fight technically. So I think that is a fight that would have been worthy of a main card slot. But up at top to bottom, this is a really good fight night. I think it's going to be really solid. I'll definitely try and tune in. But yeah, as you mentioned, it should be a fun one.
Yeah, I definitely agree. And even the first two fights on the main card, I mean, like, dude, you got Terrance McKinney, who is an absolute firecracker in the octagon, taking on Kyle Nelson. And then you have Mansour Abdul Malik taking on Yusri Belgarui. That is going to be an insane fight. I am so looking forward to that. But yeah, I mean, let's dive right into it. We're starting a women's fight in the, I forget, they are in strawweight. Yeah, I was gonna say flyweight, but I held back. I wanted to make sure we got this right for the first fight of the night. We got Alexia Tainara taking on Bruna Brazil. Tainara is 2-0 in the UFC. She's looked very promising. She's coming off a win against Loma Lukbunmi. Honestly, a very dominant win, a very good showing on her side. And then we have Bruna Brazil, who came into the UFC and she was boosted up and she looked very good, but she's kind of been teetering off as late, trading wins and losses for her past couple of fights. But yeah, Shrikar, do you think that Tainara is the real deal, or do you think that Bruna Brazil is going to get back on the right track and hopefully start piecing together some wins?
Before I answer that question, make sure y'all smash the like button, subscribe to the channel if you're new, turn the notifications on, socials down below. All right, now to answer that question, this feels like a showcase fight for Tainara. The biggest difference here is the grappling, and honestly, it's not even close. when this fight hits the ground, Tainara has a massive advantage. And I think that's going to decide where this fight takes place almost the entire time. She looks like someone who's hunting submissions every time she fights. I could definitely see her getting a finish here, but even if she doesn't, I think there's a really good chance we just see her controlling position for most of the fight while Bruna Brazil is stuck on bottom trying to survive. And when you look at the level of competition, this is actually a step down for Tainara. Her last fight was against, as you mentioned, Loma Lookboonmee. She already beat Bruna Brazil before. So stylistically, this lines up really well for her. This was supposed to be a short notice fight too. She was originally supposed to fight Stephanie Luciano. Then that fell apart. Now Brazil steps in. So it's kind of a weird situation, but the matchup still favors Tainara a lot. Brazil is not terrible on the feet. She's got decent kickboxing. She can throw volume, but we've already seen what happens when someone pressures her hard. In that fight with, I believe, Denise Gomez, she looked good in round one, but once the pressure started coming, she broke down. And this matchup is even worse for her because Tainara isn't trying to strike with her. She's trying to take her down and dominate on the ground. We already saw Tainara submit Molly McCann. She handled Lookboonmee. Every time she gets to her grappling, she looks levels ahead. I just don't see a path for Bruna Brazil here. Could she survive? Maybe. She's never been submitted before, and her defensive grappling is decent enough that she might hang on. But if she survives, she's probably spending most of the fight on her back. I could see Tainara winning a decision, or I could see her getting a submission, armbar, rear naked choke, something like that. Honestly, I've seen a lot of armbars happen in women's MMA fights. I'll just go ahead and call that happening. That would not surprise me at all here. The odds are crazy wide. Tainara is, I believe, minus 700 right now. She's minus 700, so that's a lot, but I still think she wins. I'll say Tainara by submission or decision. Most likely, she just controls the fight the whole time.
Yeah, I definitely agree. And speaking of canceled fights, this card has a lot of fights that were scheduled and canceled. I'm looking at Tapology right now. 7 fights that were scheduled and canceled.
We were supposed to get my guy Marcio Barbosa on this card, man.
That would have been fireworks to see him on this card. But yeah, I mean, also credit to the UFC for working around those and still putting on a pretty solid card for having all those road bumps. But yeah, I think this is 100% a Tainara win. You put it perfectly. I think her ground game is superb, super aggressive. She's not afraid to walk through the fire, throws bombs. And Bruna Brazil, she just doesn't look like what she was entering the UFC. And I feel it feels weird because I'm not sure what happened, but it just feels like she is not the same fighter. I think she is still a solid striker and can hold her own in the grappling game. I think the aggression of Tainara is going to be the deciding factor in this, and how Brazil is going to be able to navigate that. Because, like you said, once Tainara gets hands on you, gets it to the ground, she's super dangerous. She's not a passive grappler. She is aggressive on all fronts. She's always looking for the sub, looking to transition into favorable positions to either ground and pound or like I said, get the submission. I don't see Bruna really being able to put up much of a fight. If she's able to defend the takedowns, I think we'll get to see a little bit of what Tainara has to offer in the face of adversity. But I think that Tainara is going to be the one throwing adversity at Bruna Brazil. And when she's on the front foot, she's at her best. And we've seen it in the past 2 fights. I mean, in the Loma fight against Loma Lookboonmee, I think she had something like 5 takedowns, over 10 minutes of control. Like, she is a dominant grappler. And even though Brazil hasn't been submitted, like you said, I think a submission might be in the cards here. I'm going to go Alexia Tainara by a submission. I think that's a pretty fair bet. And if we look at DraftKings, if it is up, it might not be. It should be because it's up. Nope, it's not, because this fight was booked rather soon ago. So yeah, Tainara is currently minus 700. We're not even going to look at the betting splits. You know who people are betting on. And the over 2.5 is minus 200. That's not as chalky as it usually is in women's MMA. So that could be a little bit of a telling sign. But yeah, the War Room is selecting Alexia Tainara by submission. Like I said, we will have Sam's picks up on the graphic on Saturday. Perfect plug. I'll plug it throughout. Check Instagram, Twitter, TikTok for our final picks. Mainly Instagram. I'm trying to remember to get it up on Twitter and TikTok. It's been a little hectic. But yeah, our final picks will be up on Saturday. So make sure you check that. We do change our minds. We are human. Weigh-ins are also an important factor for us. We like to see how people look on the scales before submitting a final pick. But yeah, I mentioned there are going to be some. Are they Washingtonians? Washingtonians?
Well, Ricky Simone is. I don't think Adrian.
Yeah, I was alluding to Ricky Simone, but he is a Washington native. He is from Washington. So we got a hometown guy in Ricky Simone taking on Adrian Yanez. Ricky Simone, last time out, lost to Raoni Barcelos, who, even though he is an older fighter, has been proving to be a tough out in the UFC and a good test for some of these guys. Yanez, he had a lot of fire in the beginning. He has cooled off slightly in his career. 6-3 in the UFC, coming off a split decision loss to Daniel Marcos. Daniel Marcos is a solid fighter, split decision. It was not a bad decision. I did rewatch that fight, but that was in 2024. So he has not fought in quite some time. Ricky Simone's loss to Barcelos was last year. And it was in November. I forgot which fight night what that was. Let's see what fight night was that. Bonfim versus Brown. It was an Apex card. So I'm just going to rip off the Band-Aid. I'm taking Ricky Simone in this fight. I think that Yanez he's a very good boxer, very technical on the feet. He does have good power. His grappling is there. I wouldn't say that's one of his best traits. But Ricky Simone, it's a guy that's going to walk forward. He's going to throw heavy overhands. He has good power. He works in his wrestling nicely and complements it with his striking. He's not a guy to take errant shots or panic shots. I think that he's going to be able to work all of his skills together and kind of stifle Yanez a little bit. If it stays on the feet, I'd give Yanez a much better chance in this fight. I'm kind of expecting Simone to implement the grappling and really wear on Yanez as the fight goes on. Simone's also a guy that's pretty durable, so I don't know if Yanez is going to be able to really knock him out or accumulate enough damage to slow Ricky Simone down. He's kind of a guy, even when he's hurt, he's just kind of going to stumble forward and hope to get hands on you. But yeah, I feel like Ricky Simone might be some Washington, Seattle bias here, but I think he has a good chance in this fight. The odds are pretty short. He's minus 140. Yanez is, or he might not be minus 140.
Yanez is plus 120.
Okay. All right. So he is minus 140. Okay. So it's
minus 140.
Not a super wide line, but I think Ricky Simone has a good chance in this fight to get a finish. I'm going to call Ricky Simone by knockout. I think he's going to be able to stop Yanez in his tracks and make this a really gritty fight.
Yeah, this one's actually really interesting. We haven't seen Adrian Yanez in a minute. It's been over a year. But the last time we saw him, even though he lost, I thought he still looked pretty good. And that's why this fight is tricky, because the obvious pick when you first look at it is Ricky Simone, right? Wrestling, pressure, control, all that. But the more I thought about it, the more I started leaning Yanez. Simone's whole game is pressure, getting in your face, mixing strikes into takedowns. He's not some Dagestani chain wrestling monster with insane top control. He's more of a grinder who just overwhelms you with pace. And that style works, but it's not unstoppable. Yanez, on the other hand, is the much better boxer. Like, not close.
Yeah,
he's faster. He hits harder. Defensively, he's actually a solid wrestler. He doesn't shoot takedowns himself, but he defends them pretty well. I'm going to check his takedown defense. I think it's around 80%. 81% takedown
Pretty
defense.
solid.
Like, yeah, that's a really solid number right there. And yeah, he hasn't fought elite wrestlers, but I mean, Simone is not exactly Habib. You know what I mean? Like if Simone gets takedowns, what is he really doing with them? He's not usually smashing guys from top position. He's more
He's
about control.
almost submitting Marab.
Yeah, he's more about control than damage. And if this stays on the feet for long stretches, I favor Yanez all day. The big concern is the layoff. Year and 3 months is a long time, and that always makes me nervous. But I remember watching that Daniel Marcos fight and thinking, even in the loss, Yanez still looked like a guy who belongs here. Simone's last win over Basharat hasn't aged great. Smotherman fight wasn't dominant. Barcelos shut down his wrestling. So when I look at this matchup, I see a close fight, but I think the damage factor of it favors Yanez. Simone might get a takedown or two, but I don't think he controls the whole fight. And I think Yanez lands the harder shots over 3 rounds. And yes, we saw the odds. They have Simone as a slight favorite, which makes sense, but this feels like a coin flip to me. But I'm going to go with the upset. I'm going to say Adrian Yanez gets it done by decision. And if we look at DK, he's very sharp. He is very sharp. So something to keep in mind. It's still Wednesday or Thursday when you guys are seeing this. But yeah, I'm going to go ahead and take the dog shot here. I'll take Adrian Yanez. I just think he's got it on the feet. And yeah, wrestling only works to a certain extent. I think Yanez will get this one done.
Yeah, no, I cannot fault you for that pick at all. I do think it's going to be a very close fight. I did predict KO on Simone's side, but I can see it hitting the judges' scorecards. So we'll see what the judges in Seattle value. If Simone is able to get the wrestling going, or if Yanez accumulates enough damage to take it on the scorecards, or even by finish. But one fight I think we're going to be pretty in line with is Navajo Sterling taking on Bruno Lopez. Navajo Sterling, 8-0 prospect in the UFC. Still pretty raw. I wouldn't say that he's overwhelmingly accomplished in MMA just yet. He is a very good kickboxer though. So that is something that he comes into this fight with. And Bruno Lopez, pretty much just a brawler. He is 14-2 though. So the record does hold weight for him. His last fight, he lost against Dustin Jacoby. Really not a bad loss to take. Jacoby is a solid striker. But Shrikar, I'm going to toss it to you first. Do you think Navajo Sterling stays undefeated?
Yeah, as you mentioned, this one feels kind of one-sided to me. I think Navajo Sterling is legit, and this looks like a really good matchup for him. He's a city kickboxing guy, clean striker, very technical, very patient. Not the most explosive fighter in the world, but he's smart. He doesn't make a lot of mistakes. You know, his UFC wins haven't been super flashy, but if you go back and watch them, they've aged pretty well. The guys he beat ended up being tougher than people thought at the time. Now, you look at Bruno Lopez, and I just don't trust the chin. Jacoby knocked him out quick. He's been knocked out before. Even the fights he wins, he gets hit a lot. He's aggressive. He swings hard, but he squares up and leaves himself open down the middle, and that's exactly the kind of thing a guy like Sterling can take advantage of. This is the type of matchup where I worry more about Sterling fighting someone who can wrestle him and make it ugly. Against another striker, I think he's just better. He's longer, more technical, better timing, better defense. Lopez has power, but nothing that makes me think Sterling can't handle it. I actually think this might be the fight where Sterling finally gets a finish in the UFC. He's been winning decisions lately, but those were against tougher, more durable guys. Lopez is hittable, and if he walks into something clean, this could end quick. The odds are wide for a reason. Navajo Sterling is -600. I think we're going to get a finish here. I'm going to say Navajo Sterling gets it done by KO.
He is -175 to get a knockout in this fight. I have bet Navajo Sterling by knockout in every single one of his UFC fights, and it has yet to come to fruition for me. You know what they say? If it doesn't, well, what was I gonna? What's
You're thinking about the definition of insanity.
Oh yeah, the definition of insanity.
There you go.
If you keep doing the same thing over and over again and expect to get a different result, you are insane. Call me insane. I'm picking Navajo Sterling by knockout. Yeah, I mean, Lopez is definitely hittable. He's a chaotic fighter. He just wants to get in there and brawl. He does have good power though. His loss against Jacoby, Jacoby is a solid striker. I think Navajo Sterling is a very solid striker too. Like I mentioned, coming in with a kickboxing pedigree, he is yet to get a finish in the UFC, but he has all the tools to make it happen. It's just I just think it's a matter of when. And his last fight, he won a decision victory against Rodolfo Bellato. And what we just saw is Bellato is still kicking. He's not a super easy out. I mean, I think that's a good win for Navo to have, especially only having 8 professional MMA fights. I think that, if we're doing MMA math, if Jacoby was able to knock out Lopez, I think Navajo is a good striker too. So hopefully he knocks him out. I would say stay away from the knockout line because you never know. Navajo is a guy that was kind of hyped up to be an absolute killer, and he's just going to come in here and knock everyone out. It is yet to happen, like we just mentioned. But I mean, I don't even know if I'd say put him in a parlay. Like he's going to win, in my opinion, but a minus 600 in a parlay is the risk really worth the reward? Like, how much is that going to add to your parlay? Let's be honest, unless it's like a 10-legger, but still. Yeah, I think the pick is pretty clear cut here. It's Navajo Sterling. We both pick by KO. So the O is staying on his record. He hopefully will be 9-0 after Saturday night. And our next fight, pretty solid women's fight. These odds, I believe, are dead even. Maybe. Yeah, dead even. Minus 115 for Gabriela Fernandez. Minus 105 for Casey O'Neill. In the women's flyweight division. I think this is a solid fight. Casey O'Neill comes in, very solid striker. Can you actually click the significant strikes tab? Quickly, I believe she has a 7.89 landed per minute. But then you look at her absorbed 5.65. So she does have a solid striking differential. And then you look at Gabrielle Fernandez, 3.56 to 5.19. So that's not what you want to see in the striking differential column. Casey O'Neill is coming off a solidly long layoff. I believe her last fight was in August of 2024. That's nearly 2 years. And she was able to beat Luana Santos, who is solidly climbing up the rankings in this division. Gabriela Fernandez, on the other hand, she has some pretty solid wins under her belt. She beat Wang Kong in a pretty big upset. That was a pretty big upset. Wang Kong has a lot of hype around her. She was kind of labeled as the next up in was that fight at strawweight?
Yes.
No, it was at strawweight. So she was labeled up.
No, it was at flyweight. It was at flyweight.
Okay. I didn't want to spread misinformation, but beat Wang Kong in a huge upset. She beat Julia Stoliarenko, who, we won't talk about that, but she also beat Carly Judice, another flyweight that we're pretty high on. I mean, I don't want to speak for you, Shrikar, but I know you like Carly Judice. Think she's solid. I think she's solid as well. I'm going to pick Gabriela Fernandez in this one. Part of it is because of the layoff coming from O'Neill. I think, like I said, O'Neill's a great striker. I believe she has a Muay Thai base. She's aggressive, but I think Gabriela Fernandez is just as aggressive and has more weapons at her disposal. I think we've really seen her over this 3-fight win streak, kind of piecing it all together, understanding where her strengths reside and not just sticking to, I'm just going to walk you down and throw hands. I think she's really mixing everything up very well. I think she'll be able to get this fight to the ground. If not, I think she could hold her own on the feet. I do think that Casey O'Neill will have some ring rust, if I'm being completely honest. The odds being even are a little bit scary because the ring rust, I feel like, should be accounted into that. So I don't, obviously the odds makers aren't looking into that as much as maybe I am, but I think that Gabriela Fernandez, she's been more active. She's really, I was going to say growing up, but she's really leveling up in front of our eyes. And I think that she's going to be able to take this fight and make it a gritty, grinding type brawl. And I think she'll be able to get it done. I'm going to pick her by decision. I'm not really too sure about a finish, but Gabriela Fernandez is the pick.
This one's weird. Fernandez looks like a monster physically. She's strong, explosive. I mean, you could see her picture right there. She's jacked. But when you actually watch her fights, she's not that impressive. Her striking is decent. She's got some Muay Thai, but the takedown defense is shaky. The grappling isn't great. People point to the Wang Kong fight, but Wang Kong's ground game is not good. Like I love Wang Kong. That's the one thing I'm going to admit about her. Her ground game is not good. And even in some of Fernandez's wins, she's getting hit, getting taken down, going to split decisions against fighters who aren't that high level. Then you look at Casey O'Neill. Yes, she has been inactive. And yeah, the Lipsky fight was bad, but she is still young. And when she's at her best, her grappling is legit. She out-grappled Luana Santos. Luana Santos is a good grappler, you know? She's got long limbs, good back takes, good positional control. The biggest issue with O'Neill is she gets hit too much. If this stays standing, Fernandez might actually win the exchanges. She throws harder. She's more explosive. But I don't think O'Neill fights that way here. I think she clinches, gets takedowns, wins with control. Fernandez has never been finished, so I'm not sure O'Neill gets a sub, but I could see her taking the back and just out-grappling her. Odds have definitely kind of fluctuated with this fight, and it'd be interesting if we could get the opening odds. I don't know if this opened at a pick'em. I think it opened.
I'll find it right now.
I think the odds opened with O'Neill as a favorite, actually, and now she is the underdog slightly. But even with the odds flipping like that, I still like O'Neill here. I think it'll be a very grappling heavy fight, but I'll go ahead and take Casey O'Neill by decision. I'll take the dog shot here as well.
Two instances of parity so far on pretty close odd fights.
Yep.
We love to see it in the war room, and somehow we will still end up even at the end of the night. Gabriela Fernandez opened at minus 130. So some money has come in on Casey O'Neill.
Oh, okay.
But another fight that Shrikar prefaced in our little opening, pretty good brawl between two heavyweights, ranked heavyweight in Marcin Tybura taking on Contender Series newcomer Tyrell Fortune. He went to Contender Series, right? I'm not making that up.
Nope. He's coming in from
I'm dumb.
I think Bellator or PFL. I think Bellator.
Okay. So Jimmy is an idiot, or Chris is an idiot. If you know that reference, you are a ball knower. But yeah, Tyrell Fortune, pretty hyped up guy, if you ask me. Not too many people are going to know his name, though, especially if you're not on the hardcore side. But Marcin Tybura, if you watch UFC, you've probably seen him fight. He's been around for a minute. His last fight, he got knocked out by Ante Delia. Shrikar, I'm going to swing it to you. Who you got?
Yeah, so he's been in different promotions for his past few fights, but he is mainly based in Bellator. So, I mean, man, what are we doing here? I mentioned that it's an important fight. I never mentioned it was going to be a good fight, though. We got 40-year-old Marcin Tybura. He honestly looked closer to being like a Peter Griffin than a heavyweight athlete in his last fight. Tyrell Fortune, as I mentioned, coming in from Bellator and some other promotions, definitely has something to prove. This is one of those fights where you would think off a name basis, you'd just take Tybura and kind of just run with it with him as the underdog. But when I actually watch both these guys, I think the eye test is telling me Fortune's going to win this fight. Tybura has always been the same guy. He gets hit a lot, survives, slows the fight down, wrestles, grinds, wins ugly decisions. I mean, but lately the durability does not look the same. In that Ante Delia fight, he got blitzed and he folded fast. And the Parkin fight, I thought he lost the Parkin fight. Parkin isn't even explosive. And Tybura still struggled. So now you're giving him a guy like Tyrell Fortune. He actually has athleticism and a wrestling background. I mean, Fortune has a legit right hand. When he throws, he means it. And the difference here is Tybura usually survives big shots against guys who can't wrestle. Fortune can wrestle too. So if Tybura tries to grapple, I don't even know if he wins that. And if they're striking, I favor Fortune easily. He's faster, stronger. Honestly, just looks like the guy who's still in his prime. Heavyweight is weird, but this feels like one of those fights where the old veteran is finally done. I think Fortune hurts him in round one. It could be a knockout, could be ground and pound, but I don't trust Tybura's chin anymore. So I'm going to say Tyrell Fortune gets this one done by a round 1 KO.
Wow. Yeah, I have to agree with you on that. I would probably say round 1 KO too. Yeah, like you said, Fortune has a wrestling background. That's probably something that Tybura is probably going to want to test, and he might fail miserably if we're being completely honest. On the feet, like you said, I think Fortune has the complete advantage. He's going to throw heavy bombs, and if he connects, it might be lights out for Tybura. Tybura, he's been around for quite some time now, and I feel like giving him a guy like Fortune, who isn't a spring chicken, but definitely a guy that is still moving around like he's in his prime. Very explosive, pretty athletic, and the wrestling background. I think it's going to be pretty easy for Tyrell Fortune on Saturday night. I'm going to go first round knockout as well. We are in agreement in the war room. For the UFC debutant, and someone else who recently made their UFC debut, Lance Gibson Jr., losing a split decision to King Green.
Bobby Green.
I wanted to see if you were going to correct me.
I'm always going to correct you, man.
Yeah, we call him Bobby Green on this podcast. Yeah. No disrespect to King Green, but you are Robert on your birth certificate.
Bobby.
Bobby. Bobby. I love that video. Shout out to Yovan. But yeah, he's taking on Chase Hooper, who has evolved his MMA game from the first time that he has stepped foot in the UFC octagon. Recently lost, I believe, on the Noche card in September to Alexander Hernandez, was knocked out.
It was before that.
It was?
Because I think Hernandez fought, was it Carlos Diego Ferreira on that Noche card?
Oh, you're right. It was before that. It was on 319 or 318. It was the Poirier. You're right. It was the Poirier versus Holloway BMF card.
It wasn't that card either.
It wasn't? Am I bugging?
It was Dricus and Hamzat. Yeah, it was 319.
Oh, 319? Okay.
Yeah.
All right. In the same ballpark.
More or less.
Not really. Yeah. Jimmy's an idiot.
Right.
But if someone is watching this and your name is Jimmy, I'm not talking about you. Trust me. Just had to put that out there. But yeah, Lance Gibson made a pretty solid short notice debut against Bobby Green. Bobby Green, who's kind of having a late career resurgence as of right now. I guess that can't be considered a bad loss. Hooper's loss, on the other hand, to Alexander Hernandez was not great. He was blitzed and knocked out in a pretty bad way against Hernandez. Hooper comes in as a grappler by trade, very slick on the ground. That's pretty much where he wants to get the fight. But he has worked on his striking game. Clearly it did not show in the Alexander Hernandez fight, but he has evolved that from the first time he stepped foot in the UFC. Lance Gibson, on the other hand, he does come in with he's a wrestler, has a good wrestling background, and he can hang on the feet. He is a solid striker. He can hold his own. I might be playing some MMA math here. Chase Hooper is minus 300. I think that is wildly disproportionate in this fight. This might just be a value pick, but I really think that Lance Gibson has a good shot at winning this fight. I think the plus 200, plus 220, whatever he is, the value, I think it's there. Hooper's going to want to get this to the ground, and that's evident if you watch his fights. He wants to get it to the ground. Gibson is a solid wrestler. I mean, he's not some scrub in the grappling department. I think that he might be able to negate some of the takedowns from Chase Hooper. Not all of them. I do see Chase Hooper landing at least one takedown. But in the scrambles and transitions, if Hooper's not able to lock in his hooks easily and hold Gibson there, I think Gibson has the complete advantage on the feet. I'm taking a stab in the dark at Lance Gibson. I do think he does present good value in this fight. The striking, it's not over the top wow, but he does mix it up well. He has solid boxing. He does utilize some kicks. But it's all going to come down to if he's able to stop Chase Hooper from getting hands on him and dragging him to the mat. Because if Chase Hooper drags him to the mat, it'll be pretty scary hours for Lance and Chris, because I will probably wind up betting on Lance Gibson. I will throw a little bit of money on money line. But I do think that Lance can 100% hang on the feet, and he has the advantage, if we're being quite frank. If he's able to, widen his base and really make Hooper kind of telegraph these shots, I think he might be able to get out of the way of some of these takedowns. So I'm going to take Lance Gibson. I'm going to take him by decision. Not overly confident in this pick, but I think it's a solid value play, especially with the way Chase Hooper's last fight went. I'm not saying that Lance Gibson and Alexander Hernandez are the same striker. Alexander Hernandez is way more aggressive. Lance Gibson's more technical and picks his shots. But yeah, I do like the value on Gibson. Chase Hooper is the taller fighter, 6'1" opposed to 5'9". The reach is only a 2-inch reach advantage though. So yeah, we'll see what happens, but I do like the value on Gibson here.
All right. Time to trust in Chase Hooper again.
That's another reason I didn't want to take him.
Every time I say that, I get nervous, because we all know what the problem is with Hooper. He's a great grappler. He's improved a lot. He's long, awkward, dangerous on the ground. But that chin, and if he gets hit clean, he might be looking at the lights. As you mentioned, Chris, Lance Gibson is actually a pretty solid all-around fighter. He's not amazing anywhere, but he's decent everywhere. A good athlete, decent striking, decent grappling, nothing elite. And that's the key here. If this stays on the feet, Gibson could win. Hooper's striking is still not great, and we've seen him get cracked before. But the second this fight hits the ground, I trust Hooper way more. He's got the length, the scrambles, the submissions, the positional control. He's one of those guys where once he grabs you, the fight gets weird fast. Mm-hmm. And yeah. I don't think Gibson is strong enough defensively to stop the grappling over and over. The only real danger here is Hooper getting caught in round one. If Gibson lands clean, yeah, it could be over. But I think Hooper survives, ties him up, takes over. Could be decision, could be sub, but I'm leaning sub. So I'll say Chase Hooper wins this one by submission.
Can't be mad at that. I mean, he is a 3-1 favorite for a reason. It's just, I don't really know if I fully want to put my trust in him again. This might be a fight. This is kind of a prove it fight for both of them. It's a litmus test to see where Chase Hooper's at in the striking game, see where Lance Gibson's at in the grappling game. But yeah, I agree with you. If it hits the mat, those scrambles and transitions might get a little funky, and that's exactly what Chase Hooper likes. He likes the weird fight. But this fight, the featured prelim on this card, could be very interesting. We have Ignacio Bahamondes. I mean, we put him on our best lightweight prospects list. Yeah, we did a video on that. If you want to see that, go check that out. It's on the channel. Sam and I ranked our opinion on the best lightweight prospects, and he was on the list. He's coming off a loss to Rafael Fiziev, which he was taken down and pretty much just mauled. He was dominated in that fight. And then we have Tafik Musayev, who was a pretty hyped up signing coming over from Risen, a solid fighter overall. Was on the same card as Bahamondes, actually. It was in Azerbaijan. And he just got pretty much ran through by Muktabek Oralbay, which is pretty valid. Oralbay is a very good grappler, very good fighter. But yeah, Shrikar, I'll let you take it away. Who you got and why?
This is actually a sick fight. Like I think this is a main card fight. If this was Musayev from like 5 or 6 years ago, I might be picking him. Back then, he was dangerous, heavy hands, good wrestling, tough as hell. But now, I think he missed his window. He's 36, and his debut didn't go great. Got taken down, got subbed, didn't look like the same guy. And now he's fighting Ignacio Bahamondes. He is one of the most underrated strikers in the division. Seriously, if y'all don't believe me, I mean, go watch the Manuel Torres fight again. He made Torres look lost. Straight punches, body kicks, timing, range. Bahamondes is nasty when he's on. He's tall and really good at catching people coming in. That's bad news for Musayev because Musayev likes to pressure forward and throw big shots. If he runs into a straight right or a kick, this could end quick. The only real concern is the wrestling. We've seen Bahamondes get taken down before, especially against guys who mix striking with grappling. But Musayev at this stage feels more like a brawler than a technical wrestler. And with the height difference and the speed difference, I think Bahamondes keeps him at range and picks him apart. Could be decision, but honestly, I think there's a good chance he hurts him. Body kicks, again, the straights, maybe even a head kick. I think the younger guy looks sharp here. I'm going to say Ignacio Bahamondes gets it done by KO. And you even look at the reach advantage too, which I didn't even mention. 75.5 inches compared to 69 inches. Like, I just think Ignacio is going to win this one by KO. I just got to lock that in.
Yeah, I definitely agree with you. And I like what you said about Musayev missing his window. He was he is still dangerous, but I think he was a lot more formidable a few years ago. The Oralbay fight, not a great showing, but Oralbay is kind of a guy that seems like he's been doing that to everyone, except Mateusz Rambecki. But Bahamondes, definitely one of the better younger fighters in the UFC, especially in lightweight. Slick, rangy kickboxer, and the grappling problems are there. But is Musayev really going to harp on that? If he wants to win the fight, he probably should, but I don't think he's going to want to do that in this fight. I feel like this is just going to be a brawl, and I think Musayev's going to kind of make it a brawl, but I think Bahamondes is super good at counter striking and kind of just luring you in and hitting you with that one shot that really just rocks your world. And the reach advantage. I mean, 6 inches, almost 7, that's pretty big. And for a guy like Bahamondes to have that advantage on his size plus his striking prowess, that I feel like that's just a recipe for failure for Tafik Musayev. But Musayev can get in the pocket, and he does throw wildly. He wants to make it a brawl. So, I mean, it'll be interesting to see how this plays out, but I don't really see Tafik having much success unless he really goes the grappling route. But yeah, I think that Bahamondes is going to win this by KO, and it might be pretty brutal. But yeah, one of these guys has to get back on the win track. We both think that it will be Ignacio Bahamondes. And to open up the main card, we got a banger. I think this is going to be a great fight. Terrance McKinney taking on Kyle Nelson. Terrance McKinney, also from Washington, so another Washingtonian. I don't even know if that's a word. I think it is. Don't make fun of me if it's not. But yeah, Terrance McKinney, he is dynamite as soon as he steps foot in the octagon. This guy is kill or be killed. 25 professional fights. Not a single one of them has seen the distance. That just speaks for itself. He is an absolute demon. Kyle Nelson, on the other hand, he's a dog. He walks through the fire and he likes to throw big shots, grind you down, and really just make it a gritty fight. I'm gonna go with Terrance McKinney in the first round. I think the home crowd will get him amped up. If it makes it past the first round, Kyle Nelson is 100% winning the fight. There's no doubt in my mind that is not the way this is gonna go. Terrance McKinney, I think he's just the overall better fighter. I really think he's better than Kyle Nelson everywhere, except for chin and cardio. And that's why I said if it goes past the first round, Terrance McKinney is not winning this fight. I think he's going to come out. I think he's going to put it on Kyle Nelson instantly. The dude has cinder blocks for hands. When he hits, it hurts. He hurts pretty much everyone that he steps in the octagon with. It's just a matter of if they're able to hurt him back. And yeah, I think Terrance McKinney is going to feed off the home energy and really just put it on Kyle Nelson. I can completely see Kyle Nelson winning this fight, so I'm not saying that there's no chance in hell that he does, but I think if this is what I feel should be a Terrance McKinney performance, I'm going to say Terrance McKinney by first round knockout.
This fight is the easiest one on the card to break down, guys. It's Terrance McKinney in round one, or it's not Terrance McKinney at all.
Yep.
That's literally the fight. McKinney starts every fight at 100 miles per hour, explosive, wild, throwing bombs, going for the finish immediately. But the second the fight gets extended, the gas tank drops and things fall apart fast. We've seen it over and over. He can look like the most dangerous guy in the division for 2 minutes and then look completely done after that.
Yep.
Kyle Nelson, and it's crazy because Kyle Nelson is the opposite. He's slower, more methodical. He usually does better as the fight goes longer. He's not flashy, but he's tough. And if you let him settle into the fight, he can win rounds. The problem for Nelson here is the early chaos. Whatever happens in round one, McKinney hits harder. McKinney is faster. McKinney is more explosive. And Nelson has been hurt before, especially when guys jump on him in round one. If McKinney lands clean in the first couple exchanges, this could be over quick. But if Nelson survives the first round, the fight flips completely, as you mentioned, Chris. Round 2 and 3, I would favor Nelson easily. So this is one of those classic McKinney fights where you don't overthink it. Either he blitzes him in round 1 or he gasses and loses. I think he blitzes him. I'm going to say Terrance McKinney wins this one by round 1 finish, either KO or sub, but just to be safe, because you never know which one it's going to be, I would just aim for that round 1 finish prop. And it's probably going to be chalky too, but
dude, it's plus 215
for Terrance McKinney round 1 finish.
Terrance, that's round 1 knockout. Let me see Terrance McKinney round 1 finish.
It has to be minus odds.
Fight
has to be like minus 120 or something.
Plus 110.
If you can get that at plus money, I'm taking Terrance McKinney round 1.
Because he's not winning the fight after round 1. I can tell you
he's not winning after round 1, guys. So
if he makes it to round 2, and he could win by because he's just gonna go all gas, no breaks, and he'll gas out.
If it goes to round 2, everyone hammer Kyle Nelson.
Yeah, dude, I'm like scared that if it goes to round 2, Kyle Nelson will be like minus 500.
Yeah, he probably will be, to be honest. Everyone is gonna send the house on Kyle Nelson.
Yeah,
but my official pick is gonna be Terrance McKinney round 1 finish. I don't think it'll get to round 2.
100%. If you're gonna be live betting Kyle Nelson in round 2, you better be clicking refresh as fast as you can to get the smallest line or longest line possible, and I don't even think
honestly you should just bet it with 30 seconds to go in round 1 just to protect yourself a little bit. But
and then Terrance McKinney will screw everyone and win in the last 30 seconds of the first round. Actually, before we get to this fight, because this next fight is a banger as well. What is Terrance McKinney under half a round? Let's see.
You tell me. I have no idea.
Plus 300? Oh my God. I'm hammering that. I am hammering that.
Yeah, I think that's a good bet as well. Plus
Yo,
300.
what? Yo, they're I might need to get that like now.
Because we already think he's going to win round one. You're just betting on him to win in
what? Oh, I got to get that. After we're done recording this video, I might.
Let's take it one step further. What is first minute finish?
First minute finish. Okay. Let's see. Fight props. Oh, I don't even know if they have it right now. They don't.
Wow.
Yeah, wait.
They don't have first minute finish?
That's interesting. No, they don't. Not on DK as of right now. Winning method. Exact method of victory. No. Yeah, I'm not finding it. Oh, that'd be such a good prop.
That's a bink and a half if you can get
it. Oh my God. If you have a book that can do that, like I would
look out for.
Yeah, I would sprinkle. But yeah. Banger to open up the card, followed up by another absolute banger between two, I would say, highly touted guys. Mansour Abdul Malik coming off a win against, who did he win against? It wasn't the Cody Brundage fight because that was a no contest. It is late, so bear with me.
Monster, you're talking about Monster fight?
Yeah. Oh, Antonio Trockley.
Yeah, okay. He submitted Trockley.
Yeah. I was gonna say who doesn't, but then I realized that Montas Kondratovicius was not able to. You have Yusri Belgarui. Dude is massive. He is 6'6". Outstanding kickboxer. Mansour Abdul Malik, I would say I don't know if I'd say outstanding. I would say a very, very, very good wrestler coming out of the University of Maryland. Shrikar, I'm going to toss it to you because this fight is pretty close in odds. Who are you siding with?
This is actually a really good fight, even though I don't think it has the name value necessarily, which is why people may be questioning if it's a main card fight or not. But, you know, it's going to be really good. Abdul Malik is explosive, powerful, super athletic, but he is still figuring things out. Belgarwi looks more polished to me. Better jab, better range control. He stays composed. I think Malik will have moments, maybe gets a takedown or lands something big, but over 3 rounds, I trust Belgarwi more. I think he keeps the fight at range, works the jab, wins a close decision, probably 29-28 Belgarwi. And if we look at the splits, or not the splits, if we just look at the odds, okay, yeah, Yusri is a dog. So at plus 102, I'll take the dog shot here. I'll take Yusri Belgarwi to win this fight.
You read my mind. I am taking Yusri to win this fight. I think that, I mean, I said it. I think he's an outstanding kickboxer, a master of range control. The dude is massive. He's 6'6" with a 79-inch reach. Abdul Malik, 6'2", has actually a bigger reach than Belgar. Is it Belgarui or Belgarui? I say Belgarui.
Well, I'm not sure.
I'm just going to call him Yusri. I feel like that's easier to figure out. Yeah, actually, he's a longer reach than Yusri. The one thing I'm going to harp on is I really like what you said, that Abdul Malik is still figuring things out. I still think he's pretty raw, super athletic, good wrestler. The striking is coming along, but I don't think it's there to contend with a striker like Belgarui. And the one fight I'm really going to highlight is his last time out against Azamat Bakoev. I believe did we all take Azamat? Someone might have taken Yusri. Okay, so we all took Azamat. Azamat, solid. I mean, he's a guy that just kind of spams overhands, heavy power, but a very good wrestler. And we all thought that Yusri was kind of going to be exploited in that area. He held his own and more. He dominated that fight really from start to finish. He had Bakoev in hell. I think that Yusri is really going to be executing his mastery of range control, picking his shots, and he's just going to display that he's a world-class kickboxer. And I mean, Abdul Malik, he's going to try and shoot some shots. I think that he would be kind of stupid if he didn't, but just from what we saw in that Bakoev fight, Bakoev, whatever, he fought Azamat, one of the two Azamats in UFC. He looked great. He really did. I think he's going to be a sniper, and I think he's going to win. I honestly think he's going to knock out Abdul Malik and take that 0 off his record. I think it's going to be a banger too. You would definitely want to tune into this. But Shrikar and I are both picking Yusri Belgaroui to make Abdul Malik leave the octagon with a 1 on his record. Well, he'd have 2 1s because of the no contest between Cody Brundage. That's another thing. He didn't beat Cody Brundage. And, well, I guess he did. But it was 1-1 going into the third. It was 1-1 going into the third.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Before he finished Brundage.
Yeah, I guess, finished Brundage. Next fight, we have a guy that I was high on. I had him on my Contender Series power rankings at the end of the season. Le'Veon Douglas taking on veteran Julian Erosa. I think Le'Veon Douglas is winning this fight. I think he's the younger fighter, more explosive, well-rounded. Erosa, he can hold his own on the feet, but grappling is kind of what he calls home. He's more of a grappler by trade. I think Le'Veon Douglas is very well-rounded. I think that he's able to mix everything in very well. He has short hooks in the pocket. He's able to utilize his leg kicks, and he's not afraid to grapple. He doesn't shoot errant takedowns. They're pretty calculated. I think this is kind of just a matter of younger fighter versus older fighter. Particularly the younger fighter usually wins. Obviously doesn't happen every time, but I really liked what we saw from Douglas on Contender Series. I think this is kind of just a fight to ease him into the UFC instead of feeding him to the wolves. But yeah, I think this is going to be a showing from Le'Veon Douglas. The betting odds are pretty wide. Douglas is sitting around -300, I believe. He is -325. So I think the odds makers feel the same way. But yeah, I think this is a Le'Veon Douglas win through and through.
Yeah, this fight is chaos. Julian Erosa is one of those guys who can beat anyone or lose to anyone. There are only 2 outcomes in an Erosa fight. Either he gets knocked out or he pulls off some random submission. That's it. That's the whole career. Douglas looks way more composed to me. He's patient. He doesn't overextend. Good calf kicks, good jab, solid defense. He fights like a guy who isn't going to make a dumb mistake. And that's the key. If you don't make mistakes against Erosa, you beat him. So I think Douglas makes the reads, lands something clean, maybe a right hand, knocks Erosa out. I'm saying KO in round 2. So I will also take Le'Veon Douglas in this fight pretty easily.
All right, there we have it. Le'Veon Douglas to come out victorious against the veteran Julian Erosa. And speaking of veterans, we have 2 right here. One of them will be retiring after this fight. Michael Chiesa, in his last walk to the octagon, will take on Nico Price. I think this is a pretty easy pick. I'm taking Michael Chiesa. They're both pretty grizzled vets. There's no way in hell I'm taking Nico Price. I don't think that he has it anymore. If he ever actually had it is the question. But Michael Chiesa, super good grappler. He's gonna shoot takedowns. He can strike. Like, he can do it. Is he great at it? No, but he can do it. I think Michael Chiesa is just gonna drown Nico Price, take him into his world, and win by submission. I'm honestly gonna go round 1 submission by Michael Chiesa. I think he makes it pretty easy, leaves the octagon on a high note, and gets back in the analyst chair for the UFC. I think it's pretty clear cut.
This is a weird fight to me because both of these guys are kind of past their prime, but they're still dangerous in the right matchup. Chiesa's the same guy he's always been. He wants to wrestle. He wants to take your back. He wants to control you. If he gets on top, he's still really good there. The problem is his striking has never been great, and if he can't get the takedown, he struggles. Nico Price is the opposite. Wild, unpredictable, hits hard, doesn't care about technique half the time, but he's dangerous everywhere. You can't get comfortable against Price because he can knock you out from weird angles, off his back, spinning, elbows, whatever. The key to this fight is simple. If Chiesa wrestles, he wins. If Price keeps it standing, he wins. And honestly, I think Chiesa still has enough grappling to make this his fight. Price has been taken down before, and Chiesa is exactly the type of guy who can do that. I don't think this is pretty, but I think Chiesa gets the fight to the ground and just wins rounds, maybe even takes the back. So I'm not going to predict a finish here. I'm going to say Michael Chiesa gets it done by decision. Now, would I bet Michael Chiesa at minus 800? Hell no. Absolutely not. I think those odds are insanely wide. But I do think Chiesa gets this one done by decision. And shout out to Michael Chiesa for a great career. I said hi to him in Qatar once, which was pretty cool.
That's awesome.
If you ask him about that interaction now, he will not remember it. But just know that I did, Michael Chiesa. I will pick you to win this fight.
Yep. Him by submission is minus 135. Him by decision is plus 225. So some good value there. And I do like I love Michael Chiesa in the analyst chair. I think he's a very good analyst. He provides good insight, especially in the wrestling department. But yeah, I hope he leaves the octagon on a high note. So we will see. But yes, those odds are pretty wide. I'm not really sure what's going on there. But we have another fight, the co-main event between Maycee Barber and Alexa Grasso in the women's flyweight division. Maycee Barber coming off a win against, was it Tracy Cortez? No, it was not Tracy Cortez.
No, Karine Silva.
Karine Silva. Alexa Grasso coming off a loss to Natalia Silva. Yeah. Which was kind of a long time ago. It was a year ago. She has not been in the octagon in a year. Maycee Barber, obviously, in her last fight, she was supposed to fight Erin Blanchfield and then had medical issues. Comes back, wins against Karine Silva in a pretty good fashion. But yeah, this should be a solid fight in the flyweight division. Alexa Grasso looking to get back on the win back in the win column. Maycee Barber looking to extend her win streak. Shrikar, who you got in this fight and why?
This one is really interesting because skill for skill, Grasso might be the better fighter, better boxing, better fundamentals, more technical, more experienced at the highest level. But Barber is a problem physically. She's strong. She hits hard. She fights like someone who thinks she's going to be champion. Sometimes that works. Sometimes it doesn't, but she brings pressure every time. Grasso is the cleaner striker, no doubt. If this is a technical fight at range, I like her. But Barber doesn't fight that way. She makes it dirty. She clinches. She throws volume. She forces exchanges. And I think that could make this really close. Also, Barber has been improving. Early in her career, it was all power and aggression. Now she's a little more patient, a little more controlled. I think this ends up being one of those fights where Grasso looks better technically, but Barber wins moments with pressure and physicality. Could go either way, but I think the judges might favor the aggression of Barber. So it's going to be a close fight, but I'm going to say Maycee Barber gets it done by decision.
Yeah, I definitely agree. I mean, you look at the tail of the tape, they are the same exact size pretty much, except for a 1-inch reach advantage by Grasso. But when you look at Maycee, she just looks like more of a physical presence in the octagon every time she's in there. She just looks like the bigger fighter. And yeah, I do think that the aggression will play a factor. I agree with everything you said. Grasso, she's the better boxer. She's more technical, but Maycee, she has been more patient, which I think has been helping her out. She's not just a chaotic brawler, but I think in this fight, a chaotic brawl might benefit her, kind of force Grasso out of her norms and really just kind of have her guessing. In a point fight, it might be Grasso's fight. She also has solid grappling as well. But what we saw in the Karine Silva fight from Maycee Barber is that, her grappling is improving as well. And it might, even if it gets to the grappling, her size might just carry her over the edge. That really might be the deciding factor. If she's able to just go in there, make it gritty, force Grasso out of a point fight and into just an all-out war. And I think Grasso can hold her own in that. But I would side with Maycee in the power department. I think she'd be able to land the more powerful shots and accumulate more damage than Grasso would be able to. But yeah, it should be a close fight. I mean, this is a pretty good women's MMA fight. You can't say that about all of them, but I mean, you can't say that about every men's fight. Some of them are snoozers and some of them are absolute wars. I think we're going to be in for a pretty good display of MMA with these two. But yeah, I am going to go Maycee Barber by decision. I think that she's just going to be a little more aggressive, and she's going to look like she wants it more than Grasso will. But yeah, I think this is it's a solid co-main event. But yeah, we're both in agreement picking Maycee Barber, sitting at around minus 185. And we get to the main event. Israel, the last style bender, Adesanya, is back in action for the first time since getting knocked out by Nassourdine Imavov, who potentially will be contending for a title. We're not sure what's happening in the middleweight division, but he is taking on up-and-coming middleweight Joe Body Bags Pyfer. When I first saw this fight, I was kind of confused of why this was booked. I've come around to it that, this is a good test for both guys. Izzy taking on a younger guy like Pyfer, seeing if he still has it. I mean, Izzy, I would say skill-wise is still the same, but physically maybe not, especially the chin. Getting knocked out by Dricus and then Imavov back-to-back, not exactly what you want to see on his side. And Pyfer, he just comes out with massive amounts of aggression, and he has a nasty right hand. That dude is powerful. His last fight was a win against Abus Magomedov, in which he looked pretty dominant. He did look pretty dominant in this win. So this fight opened up. Joe Pyfer was minus 130. I was very interested to see what this line would be closer to the fight. And now that we are closer to the fight, Israel Adesanya is sitting at minus 150 or around minus 150. I was really close to picking Joe Pyfer. Really, really close. I thought those odds were pretty scary. And I'm still going to second guess this pick. But I feel like I have to take Izzy in this fight. I think this might be a levels fight. Now, I just mentioned the chin from Israel Adesanya. Getting knocked out twice back-to-back. That's never good, especially for someone at his age. I believe he's like 36, something like that. He's on the wrong side of 30. But Pyfer, what I've seen from him and what I've wanted him to improve on is not his shot selection, because his shot selection is actually very good. It's the combos that he needs to work on. He just constantly looks for the one punch knockout. And granted, he 100% has the power to do that. And we've seen it before. But I feel like with him, if he was able to string together combos, and he has, but not as much as I think he should. If he was able to string together combos when he's picking his shots, and most of them are pretty good. I mean, he has a knack for landing the overhand or landing the straight right. But with Izzy, I feel like if he does that and he doesn't just blitz him, I feel like Izzy might be able to pick him apart from the outside, because Izzy is one of the most technical fighters the UFC has ever seen. He is an amazing kickboxer. I don't see Joe Pyfer wrestling in this fight. I think he's going to try and want to knock Izzy out. And he very well could. He very well could. But if Joe Pyfer isn't going to blitz and throw combos and just look for that one shot that he constantly does, I think Izzy's going to be able to not even, I mean, I guess point fight per se, but I feel like that's Izzy's world in a fight where it's just going to be a technical fight of Pyfer lurking forward, trying to look for the shot. I mean, we saw Izzy do it to Alex Pereira. Granted, he lost him 3 times before that, but he lured Pereira in, kind of playing possum, and then was just able to unload and knock him out. I think that if this becomes a technical fight where there aren't many shots coming from Pyfer's side, that I think he's just going to be lured into Izzy's world, and Izzy might be able to do it. But this line is interesting because Pyfer did open as the favorite. Izzy is now the favorite at -150. And that kind of feels like the Imavov fight where Izzy was around -152 and Imavov went in there and smoked him. Not a super confident pick from me, but I'm going to go with Israel Adesanya. I'm going to take him by knockout. I don't think it's going to go to decision. But yeah, man, this one's tough. This is tough. And if Izzy loses, that's going to crush me. That's going to hurt really bad. But yeah, Shrikar, what you got?
Yeah, this is the big one, and this fight feels like a crossroads fight for Adesanya. We all know what Izzy is at his best: elite striking, elite distance control, elite timing. One of the best kickboxers we've ever seen in MMA. But lately, he hasn't looked the same. He's been more hesitant, less active, not as sharp. And now he's fighting Joe Pyfer. He's basically the opposite style. Pyfer is power, pressure, aggression. He's not as technical as Adesanya, but he hits hard and he believes he can knock anybody out. And that makes this dangerous because if this turns into a firefight, Pyfer has the power to change everything. But if this turns into a kickboxing match at range, I still trust Adesanya. He's seen everything. He's fought champions. He's fought killers. Pyfer hasn't fought anyone like this yet. And that matters. I think in round 1, like early on, Pyfer will be dangerous. He'll come forward, throw hard, try to make a statement. But over 5 rounds, I trust Izzy's experience and his ability to control the fight. I don't think this is a blowout. I think it's tense. I think it's competitive. But I think Adesanya stays smart and wins the fight. So I'm going to say Israel Adesanya gets this one done by decision. I don't think he's going to KO Pyfer. I think this does have the chance to go 5 rounds. I think I'll pick it to go 5 rounds, but yeah, give me Izzy to get it done here.
All right. We are both in agreement. Style Bender will come out victorious. I really hope he does. If Joe Pyfer wins, I'm going to be hurting. I will be hurting inside. Izzy, one of my favorite fighters. Grew up watching him, and the one thing about MMA, man, and Shrikar, you could attest because some of your favorite fighters, some of my favorite fighters, we've seen them fall recently, and the older they get, the more painful it is to watch them step into the octagon because you just know something bad can happen, and we never want to see it. But yeah, overall, I think it's a pretty solid card. I really don't have too many complaints, if any at all. Maybe some scheduling in terms of, I think Michael Chiesa is the featured bout because he's retiring. It makes sense, give the guy his flowers. But yeah, I think that up and down, there should be some good fights on this card. Like, this is not one that you would say, all right, I'm not going to sit down because maybe I don't know some of these guys' names. Like if you've never heard of Mansour Abdul Malik or Yusri Belgarui, sit down and watch that fight and you'll learn about them. You'll learn pretty quick. But yeah, Shrikar, any last thoughts on this card or anything?
Yeah, man, it's 2:00 for me and it's 3:00 for Chris. So I'm sorry if I've been yawning and just looking tired throughout this video. I'm very, very tired right now.
I had 2 cups of coffee.
But this is going to be, again, it's going to be a solid fight night. Definitely one that you guys should watch. I know I said the same thing about the London card last week, and it may have fallen a little short of expectations, but I can only speak from what I see on paper. And what I see on paper is this is a solid fight night. And that's with all the cancellations. You know, if we still had Walter Walker versus Marcin Tybura, if we still had Marcia Barbosa versus Kangje, like, it would have been a much better card. But, you know, for what we do have, this is really solid. So I think Seattle's going to be in for a treat here. And I can't wait for this main event. We'll see if Izzy gets it done. And yeah, we'll be watching. Again, it's going to be a tense fight, so I'm definitely excited for it.
100%. And quickly, check the Instagram on Saturday for our final pick predictions. You don't want to miss that. We do change our minds. We are human. Make sure you like it up, subscribe, turn on post notifications. We will try and get you the recap on Sunday. If we're not able to do it, we have schedule conflicts. We will try and get it to you on Monday. We will get it to you guys. We'll put out a post.
We're shooting for Sunday. Be ready for Sunday.
Yes, we are shooting for Sunday. That's why you should turn on your post notifications, get everything up to date on the War Room. It is late. Hope you guys have a great night. Signing off for Shrikar Rajendran. I'm Chris Schroyer. Peace.